I knew the moment the laughter dropped into that sharp, familiar register that something was wrong. The dinner table shimmered on my cousin's live stream. Cheap LED lights, clinking plates, the drone of relatives who never learned to lower their voices. And then my mother leaned toward the camera, uninvited, like the villain in a low-budget play who still believes she's the star. Desperate failure, she said, smiling as if the words were harmless. The table roared. She went on, how I lived alone, how I cling to work like it's the only thing keeping me from collapsing. She mentioned my childhood stutter. She even mimicked it. Everyone laughed harder. I didn't. I just sat there watching on my phone, unseen, as the people I paid hospital bills for cut me open in front of an audience of strangers. And that's where the story begins. Not with a shout, but with me quietly placing my phone face down on the counter like it was contaminated. I used to believe my mother loved me. Back when she'd braid my hair before school, humming that off-key tune she reserved for the mornings she wasn't exhausted from night shifts. She'd squeeze my shoulder before I stepped off the bus, promising I'd change the world one day. Back then, I thought her pride was real, not something she wore only when it made her look good. Things shifted slowly. After her health declined, after the bills piled up, after I became her emergency contact, her chauffeur, her full-time problem solver. The gratitude faded first, then the kindness, then the respect. But the venom came later, and when it did, it came easy. The first sign was a slip. A neighbor telling me Mom said I barely scraped by, when I was the one covering her prescriptions. Then my aunt repeating some story about how I beg for attention. I brushed it off as exaggeration. Families distort things the way cheap mirrors do, stretching, shrinking, warping. But the live stream? That was the moment the distortion snapped into focus. Proof. Indisputable. Public. Broadcast like entertainment. I didn't get angry, just cold. People think revenge starts with rage. Mine started with silence. I didn't call her, didn't confront her. I let the words sit in my chest until they turned into something sharp and useful. Then I went through my phone and checked every file, every invoice, every automated transfer I had set up for her medical expenses. 5 years, $37,000, all tied to my name. I didn't cancel anything, not yet. I needed precision. So I waited until the insurance renewal window opened. I shifted every policy into her name, no cosigner, no fallback. I transferred account access to her email. Then I contacted the hospital's billing office, calmly explaining that I was removing myself as the primary payer. They thanked me for the clarity. I thanked them for their professionalism. Then, and only then, I blocked her number. Not out of spite, out of intention. The fallout came 3 weeks later. She showed up at my door, red-faced, breathless, clutching a stack of unpaid notices. She pounded like the building was on fire. I opened the door because I needed her to see me. Steady, unmoved, done. "You can't," she started. "I can," I said, and I did. Her face twisted into the same expression she wore on the live stream, smug mixed with disbelief. But now the audience was gone. "You owe me," she snapped. "I owe you nothing," I said, "especially not money you mock me for earning." She tried to backtrack then, stumbling over apologies shaped like excuses. "I was joking. People were watching. Your cousin put me on the spot." I let her speak. Let her unravel. Let her realize I wasn't the one she could perform to anymore. "The hospital says the bills are your responsibility now," she said, voice cracking. "They're supposed to be," I replied. "You're the patient." She stared at me as if I'd betrayed her, as if years of sacrifice evaporated with one act of self-respect. Then she said it. "You're abandoning me." "No," I told her, "you abandoned me first. You just did it publicly." The silence that followed was cleaner than anything she'd ever given me. She walked away without slamming the door, which I took as her final concession. People ask what revenge feels like. They expect fire, triumph, drama. For me, it felt like oxygen returning to a room I didn't realize I'd been suffocating in. I didn't expose her. I didn't humiliate her back. I simply handed her the life she insisted I wasn't good enough to influence. And now, every time I think about that live stream, the laughter, the cruelty, the complete absence of loyalty, I no longer feel hurt, just clarity. The best revenge is letting someone drown in the truth they created. I just stopped swimming for her.